What is up, everybody? Welcome to Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast. We are back, or I should say, I am back to action. Wow, this is crazy. This is the first time I'm doing this show where I no longer have to worry about school. I have finished my bachelor's degree, or at least the work to get the bachelor's degree. I'll receive, I guess, the certification soon, but that is just my petty excuse as to why I have not been doing my Power Rangers podcast as of lately. But my plan was always to do once a week, and that's what we're getting back to. The only thing that really hindered that was I was a full-time college student and working full-time, and now I'm only going to be working full-time. So this just got a lot easier. But yes, I am Jacob Bartley, and this is my Power Rangers YouTube channel, my Power Rangers podcast. I am just a lifelong fan of Power Rangers. I literally don't remember a time where I wasn't a Power Rangers fan. It is the first movie I remember watching in theaters is the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie, which came out when I was about 4 years old. And I watched Power Rangers endlessly as a child, had all the toys, and you could almost say the same is absolutely true today. No, I don't watch the main shows as religiously these days, but I am watching them. I'm catching up on the shows. I'm currently watching Dino Charge, the first Dino one with Dino in the name, that where Tommy's the professor and the Black Ranger. I'm enjoying it. It's not the best season, but nowhere near the worst season at all. And I am a optimistic Power Rangers fan, especially of the mythology and where I think it could possibly be. I think it has the potential to be a very great, sci-fi, especially fantasy, space adventure type franchise, whether that's television or movies, whatever the case is going to be. I think it has unlimited potential. But as of lately, the best thing to talk about with Power Rangers is the comics. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is Mighty Morphin number 2 and Power Rangers number 2. Thank you, Hasbro, or well, not Hasbro, I should say. Thank you, Boom Comics. Thank you, Saban and the previous people for setting up these comics, and thank you, Hasbro, for continuing them with Ryan Parent and company. And I love these comics. These comics have revitalized not revitalized, but just proved what I always thought, is that Power Rangers can be taken seriously and can be really cool. It really changed the game with Shattered Grid and with Lord Draken, and they're continuing this mythology. And I'm not saying that any future projects have to mimic exactly what they did with these comics, but you can, if you don't take some inspiration from these comics, I think it's a very, very unfortunate missed opportunity. But for the most part, normally on this show, we're going to talk about any major news going on in the Power Rangers world, whether that's movie related, toys related, comic related, television related, anything like that. I am going through all the seasons and reviewing them as I go. Like I said, I'm currently on the Black Ranger Tommy Oliver one. And I also share collectibles and whatever is going on in Power Rangers at that time, the comics right now. I watched Beast Morphers Season 1, and I probably will do just a full review of Beast Morphers Season 1, but I just haven't started Beast Morphers Season 2 yet, because Season 1 was on Netflix, and now I actually have Nickelodeon now on YouTube TV, and I've been recording the episodes, so I'm probably going to go back and start Season 2 pretty soon here. I'm not going to wait until I catch up to it, because it's a currently running show, but I think, real quick before we get to the comics, I think we're in for big things with Power Rangers, and we're going to have a ton of stuff to talk about, and I'm talking about the movies, all that stuff in the future. But for now, let's talk about these comics. Real quick, I want to share, I love talking about collectibles on this show, and look at this. I know it's been out for a while, but this is not easy to get, and my brother Jonah got this for me. The the Dragon Shield Black Ranger from Mighty Morphin when Zack had to put on the Dragon Shield for once. These Dragon Shields, the Red Ranger one, any Green Ranger one, they're so cool. It makes the Power Rangers look so much cooler. Like, I will do a line where they're all wearing Dragon Shields. I'd be cool with this. But yes, this is the latest entry into my collections, and I freaking love it. Wish I could put it here somewhere where I can see it. Don't want to cover Leia, but there, we can still see Leia and the Dragon Shield Black Ranger. Okay, let's get into these comics. So today we're going to talk about Mighty Morphin number 2 and Power Rangers number 2. If you're not aware, these are kind of the not the reboot, but the sequels, continuations of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers line, which had the whole Shattered Grid thing, and the Go-Go Power Rangers line, which was also tied into Shattered Grid, but it was kind of a going back to the beginning of them being Power Rangers when Tommy was first coming out of being the Green Ranger, while the Mighty Morphin stuff started when they were far into that. So let's jump into Mighty Morphin number 2. And by the way, these are basically Mighty Morphin is the Mighty Morphin team when Tommy's the White Ranger, and Aisha, Adam, and Rocky are the yellow, red, and black Rangers. And it's that team, and a Green Ranger shows up out of nowhere. They don't know who it is. We still don't know who it is after this issue, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then the Power Rangers line are the Omega Rangers, Trini, Zack, and Jason, who went off, said they were going to a peace conference, went off into space with a blue emissary, and got these new Omega Ranger powers, and that's where we are. And now there's a conflict. In the last issue, the Omega Rangers broke out Lord Draken from the command center where he was being held by the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Zordon, and that is going to cause problems. We're headed towards some type of Civil War type thing, and it's going to be great. So this is where this all picks up. And in the last Mighty Morphin issue, we saw some flashbacks from thousands of years ago of these Eltar, where the planet that Zordon's from, these Eltar Guardians fighting some battle. Zordon was there, and there's this other Eltarian, I guess you could call them, named Zafram. And Zafram was talking to the elders, these big heads that are also from Eltar. You could tell with their blue skin and everything. And he is granted the title of Eltar's Supreme Guardian. And he basically proposes to them that he believes Eltar needs to expand their kind of their watch over the galaxy and go help these other planets and galaxies who have been who are less capable of taking care of themselves. He says they're not advanced in technologies, and they're basically telling us how Zordon eventually comes to watch over Earth. And so they're like, no, that's dangerous. We don't want to overstep our boundaries. And Zafram thinks it's the right thing to do. So they say, okay, we're against it, but we trust you. Go ahead and do it. And then it cuts into modern day. And what they're doing here, they started the last issue with a 10,000 years ago Eltar scene. They're doing it again here. And we know the girl who is pretending to be Skull's girlfriend, Candace, is from Eltar, and she's there on Earth for some reason. So there's a bigger storyline going on along with all this other stuff that ties into Eltar somehow. So we know we're getting that. That's what they're setting up with that. So we cut to modern day. Zordon, look, I love how Jason takes Draken and he says, I'm sorry, Zordon, and he leaves, and Zordon's pissed. So Zordon goes, this is what I put in my notes, Zordon goes ham on threatening the Omega Rangers, talking to Billy. And this is all funny because Billy is betraying everybody too by knowing who the Green Ranger is and working with Promethea and all that. And he has his own secret, and we see that referenced throughout this issue. And so Zordon's there threatening the Omega Rangers who betrayed him. So Billy's kind of like, damn, what is he going to do to me when he finds out I betrayed him too? But that's something that we'll find out about later. Um, so he basically says that I'm gonna do whatever I can to find them. I'm gonna call in all my favors, get everybody in the galaxy that can help me to find the Omega Rangers. I'm gonna strip them of their power. That's crazy that the trust that Jason, Zach, and Trini had with Zordon to where this is at. This is great. You had to create a believable conflict to where you're going to have these Rangers teams fight each other. And it's going to be just like Captain America Civil War, where it's friendly fight. They're not trying to kill each other. But still, that's as far as you can go with characters who are all supposed to be good, right? So, but I loved seeing Zordon get so upset right here. And that's intimidating because, he is very powerful being, or very knowledgeable being. And I don't think we've fully seen what Zordon is capable of. I hope one day he can physically manifest again somehow. We'll see. But okay, then we cut to the Ranger team. They're playing basketball. Some of them are just chilling on the bleachers watching. Some of them are playing. They're talking about how the Omega Rangers betrayed them. Kim saying they probably had a good enough reason. Billy defends them again, calling back to where he was. He's worried about them finding out about his betrayal. Are they going to treat him the same way they're treating the Omega Rangers? Maybe his betrayal isn't as big. It depends on who the Green Ranger is and how that all works out. But this is the second kind of reminding us that Billy is betraying them as well. And then they reference that they're going to this music festival. So we go to Skull and Bulk. They're in the gym. Bulk is doing some boxing training, punching one of those fake human figures, and talking about Candace, because he's noticed Candace has been kind of distant from him, but it's because she's not really human. She's there in disguise, and she is there on some type of mission that we don't really know about yet. So she has to kind of sneak behind Skull's back to do some stuff. So he thinks she's cheating on him, which she's not. I mean, we don't even know if she's really like Skull like that. I think they're gonna do a thing where this alien actually fell for Skull and there really are a thing, which is kind of cool. But during this moment, Bulk has been jealous of Candace, so I love this loyalty of Bulk. He says, "No, I know that she loves you," and that's kind of talking into what I'm talking about. If Bulk can see that she cares about him, then I think her relationship with Skull, because she didn't have to get in a relationship with somebody, it helps her disguise, but she didn't have to do it. So I think that it's genuine. Her feelings towards Skull are genuine. And Bulk swears to Skull that they're gonna get his girl back. And I love this because, look, the comics took away the silliness of Bulk and Skull, and they made them real characters. And even though the shows got better with them, especially in Zeo and in Space and things like that, Bulk and Skull really kind of became better characters in those shows. But overall, Bulk and Skull are seen as silly characters, and I love how the comics have kind of went away from that and made them real important characters. So we see that, and regarding that, I love Bulk's loyalty. Even though he's jealous of Candace, he still wants to help him get her back or whatever, or help him keep her. So now we go to the castle on the moon with Zed. Finster's talking to Zed. He brought him some more dangerous putties. One that can fly, one that can has a mouth that can chomp or whatever, and one with blades on its arms. And Zed's like, "Nah, you created so many monsters that failed. Let me create my own." And we know that Zed has the green chaos energy running through him right now. So Zed uses that to do something to the putties. We don't see what that is yet. So that music festival that they referenced earlier, they're over there, they're hanging out and talking, throwing some jokes around. And then Candace comes running into Rocky. She's like, "Oh, there's something here." And Bulk and Skull see that she's holding on to him, and then they think that that's who she's seeing, which was a pretty funny moment. But then we see this putty show up that has green chaos energy running through it. And even though it looks different, the Rangers are still like, "Oh, one putty? Come on, we got this." And we know a regular civilian could beat up regular putties, right? I could fight 10 putties, the original putties, even though I have no training, and beat them. Especially with the little Z on the chest where you just punch it. You can just throw rocks and hit the Z. Boom. putty defeated. But this is the most powerful putty we've ever seen. Because it has green chaos energy running through it. So they try to fight it. It defeats the whole Ranger team. Then the Green Ranger shows up, who's this badass, right? Of course he is, or she is, whoever it is. And it defeats the Green Ranger so much so it's like they're laying on the ground, like injured. And then turns out that the music festival was a trap, and most of those people there were putties in disguise. It's funny that how irrelevant the putties kind of are. They're always there just for a distraction, but it's really cool that they can shapeshift. Like, is it just Rita and Zed's magic? Or is it Finster's magic in creating them? Or is it just like it must be something with Finster, but they can shapeshift, which is a pretty powerful thing in its own. So, yeah, they're all surrounded by, and I didn't notice this until the second time I went through it to write down some notes, that all of the putties surrounding them are in green chaos. So if that or they have green chaos energy inside them. So if one green chaos putty defeats all 7 of them, how are they going to fight a whole army of them? So somebody's going to have to come in and save them. Maybe it's Grace from Promethea, and that's how they figure out who the Green Ranger is. But I don't know. But we still don't know who the Green Ranger is. Look, I understand dragging on suspense, a secret, or whatever the case is. They got to tell us who it is by now. Like, it's not just the second issue. If it was only the second issue where this was a thing, I wouldn't care. But they introduced this at the end of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for like 2 or 3 issues. We're going on 5 or 6 issues where we don't know who the Green Ranger is. I think it's time to tell us and start telling that story. So, who knows who it is? Is it Candace? No, probably not Candace. I mean, that would be cool because then an Eltar person is an Eltarian would be a Ranger, which she's still a possibility because I don't know if she's in the shot with the Green Ranger at the same time. So that's a possibility. Draken's no longer a possibility. He's out with the Omega Rangers unless they pull some crazy stuff. But no, Draken's no longer a possibility. I still think it's Matt. Where was Matt in this? They had him in the first issue. And that was my prediction for like 2 years, that Matt's going to come back as the Green Ranger before they even said there was ever going to be a Green Ranger again. So let's see if I'm right on that one. I like this issue. I'll tell you what, out of the 2 issues this time around, Mighty Morphin number 2 and Power Rangers number 2, I liked Mighty Morphin number 2 significantly more than Power Rangers number 2. It just continued the story of what was going on. With the Rangers being mad, the Rangers and Zordon being mad at the Omega Rangers, the mystery of the Green Ranger, all these type of things. Candace, so it continued what was going on, and I like this whole storyline. So I enjoyed the second issue of Mighty Morphin. So let's get to Power Rangers number 2. Now, I absolutely love what they've done with Zach, Trini, and Jason. How they are now the Omega Rangers, the Space Rangers, going out into the galaxy, taking out threats instead of disappeared at some peace conference. I love it, and I love how they created this conflict with them breaking out Lord Draken. This issue to me, though, was anticlimactic, and there's been a few Omega Ranger-centric issues that I have not enjoyed. They have a great handle on dealing with the Power Rangers on Earth. They have a great handle on that. It's funny, it's enjoyable, entertaining, and the storytelling is very precise and very neat and tight. The Omega Ranger stuff going out in space, it's just I get it. There's not as much you can work with because you're in a human environment down on Earth and you have so many different angles you can explore. While you're out in space, let's go to this planet. Let's have these aliens attack the ship. Let's fight these aliens. Let's fight this monster. So it's more difficult to tell an interesting story. So I understand that, but let's get to this. So it starts with the aftermath of a battle, and it says, and then you see the Zach's weapons floating. You see Trini floating out in space. You're like, whoa. And then you see Jason with his sword, which is badass, and he's like, "I'll even if I'm the last one, I'll take you with me." We assume he's talking to Draken, but we don't know yet. And so then they cut to 6 hours earlier. It's Jason and Zai are talking about how Zordon's coming after them and how Jason shouldn't trust Draken. But Jason's basically saying, look, he see the Imperials. He's the only choice we have right now. So that makes sense. And then we see Trini walking Draken to his cell. He's doing his, classic villain and trying to manipulate her and make her. He's basically saying that, look, Trini, these other guys are idiots. That robot, Jason, Zach, they're all idiots. You should be in charge. You should be the one calling the shots. And she's basically not having it. She's like, stop trying to manipulate me, Draken. And Billy is the smartest Power Ranger when it comes to, science and technology. Trini's right there with him. But Trini is the smartest Power Ranger, period. Like, when it comes to human smarts and, like, just regular smarts, battle smarts, and, science smarts. Trini is the smartest Power Ranger, period. Billy's the smartest scientist Power Ranger, okay? So she's like, nah, just get out of my face with that. I'm not having it. And honestly, I never really thought about this, but yeah, this is true. So my favorite Power Ranger ever is Jason. And that was before I ever read the comics. And they've made me love him even more in the comics. But the Ranger where I went from, I like her a lot, to, oh my goodness, she's one of my favorite characters, is Trini. They've done a great job with Trini in these comics. And I knew this, but I just realized how the comics have kind of taken Trini from a character I really like to maybe challenging a top 10 spot in my favorite Power Rangers, because I did an episode where I did my top 10 favorite Power Rangers, and that was mainly based on the shows. But I'm gonna consider like all canon. Like, these aren't canon with the shows necessarily ish, but if all things considered, comics, movies, TV shows, Trini is basically, based on her comic character, is kind of challenging that top 10 spot. So she's a great character. Like I said, she could be the leader of the Power Rangers, and I would have no problem with that. She makes more logical decisions than Jason. So that would make sense. And this moment kind of reminded me of that. So then we see Zach bouncing a ball. Of course, Zach's having fun like he always does in the ship. And then, so this beast, that, I forget the name of it, but that beast they have that they're letting walk around now because they got out of whatever was making it go crazy. And now and Zai's like, look, he's fine now. He's just a wild animal or whatever. We can't lock him up. So they're letting him walk around like he's a pet. And Zach's like scared of him or like freaked out by him. And the beast catches his ball and pops it, which is pretty cool. And then the power goes out and they're all, what's going on? What's going on? They're all investigating it. And we see these other aliens attack the ship. They feed on life. They all start fighting them all in all different parts of the ship, and these aliens are apparently very formidable. They can't defeat them because normally we see groups of aliens or robots or whatever, and they're just cannon fodder for the Power Rangers. They could easily beat up all of them, and that's one thing I liked, that they don't even have a chance against these aliens. They're having a terrible time trying to fight them. I never seen, like, very often we don't see the masks ripped off. Jason's mask was tore up. Zach is having trouble fighting them, but the Beast, tying into that relationship, the Beast comes and helps him. Trini knocks a hole in the ship, and her and a bunch of them go floating out into space. But as we've seen, they can be out in space in their suits and be fine, which is really cool. And she's out there fighting them. They're like, "Are you gonna be okay out there?" She's like, "I'll try." And then some of these aliens go to find Draken, and they start talking to Draken, and they're gonna basically, so like I said, these aliens feed off life is what I'm getting from this, and they're gonna take Draken and kill him or eat him, whatever. and Draken. Draken actually looks very scared. It's crazy where we went from Draken to like everyone's scared of him and he's the biggest, most powerful being in the galaxy to now he's scared of some random aliens that show up. So, but we know he's kind of a shell of himself, so that makes sense. But he basically shows his cowardice ways and says, "Wait, I know where you can get some more life." And I think he's hinting towards Earth. So, and these aliens take him and they're like, "Okay, show us where more life is." And that's kind of where it ends. So I'm wondering, who was Jason talking to at the end of this issue, at the beginning of this issue? Because they said 6 hours earlier. I don't think we went through the whole 6 hours. So I think, unfortunately, the next couple issues of this might be covering that 6 hour period to where we end up at where this issue starts, which is fine. Like I said, to me, everything that I talked about in Mighty Morphin number 2 is far more interesting. The Eltar stuff, Billy trying to hide who the Green Ranger is, which another reference they made to it was when the Green Ranger got hurt really bad fighting the Green Chaos Putty, and Billy goes, "No," because Billy knows who it is. I'm telling you, it's Matt. But we'll see. Maybe they could totally throw a curveball and it not be Matt. But, and all this stuff going on, like Bulk and Skull and Candace and Tommy and Zordon, all this stuff going on, way more interesting stuff than what was going on in the Power Rangers issue. But the cool thing about the Power Rangers, the Omega Rangers issue, is that Draken's there. So, and I love Draken. He's freaking awesome. So that is a really cool thing about that. But yeah, I thought it was okay. We got some cool things in it, right? Like the Trini moment, just showing how intelligent she is, and just seeing Draken again, having him be there, and all this stuff. So it was cool, but I just did not like it as much as the Mighty Morphin issue. So I'm hoping both issues next time around are a lot better. I want to know what you guys thought. What did you think of Mighty Morphin number 2 and Power Rangers number 2? Do you agree with me? Do you think Mighty Morphin, the storyline going on there, is far more interesting? Where do you guys think this is headed? Who do you think the Green Ranger is? I guess we'll be asking that every time a new comic comes out going forward. Again, I am Jacob Bartley, and this is Off the Grid, a Power Rangers podcast where we talk all things Power Rangers. I'm jumping right back into it. We're going to be doing weekly, and I'm going to have a more organized show. I'm telling you guys, everybody, it sounds like an excuse, but when I was doing full-time school, I did not have time to do crap. When I did these shows, it was because I couldn't resist talking about Power Rangers, and I was like making myself fit it into my schedule. Now, I'm going to be able to focus on things that I really want to do. And one of those things is dive deep into this talking Power Rangers and the comics and the TV shows and the movies and the toys and all that stuff. So I'm going to have a much more organized show going forward, and where we're going to have a news segment. We're going to talk about all the stuff going on out in the Power Rangers world. I'm going to catch up on the TV shows. I'm going to review every season. And we're going to get to a point where I'm reviewing the new episodes of the ongoing show every week, even though not the biggest fan of Beast Morphers. It's okay. I love the cast. The cast is I say incredible, but I mean the cast is charming. I really like the cast, but I just think we need to adapt this material and make it more, like, even if you just go to the maturity level of the Arrowverse, even, the Flash CW show. Kids can still watch that, but I understand maybe it's for a little bit of a younger age range, so, and that's what Power Rangers is, so I guess I gotta accept it. But anyways, again, I'm Jacob Bartley. Thank you all for watching. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you next week, next Tuesday. Until then, may the power protect you.